Does batoning make you queasy? Does the thought of hitting your blade with a piece of wood repeatedly on another piece of wood keep you up at night? Do you worry about your blade breaking if you hit it too hard with a block of wood? Well, if that's the case, if you're a fearful batoner, then this video is for you. What is up, gang? My name is Joe and this is Froe Woodcraft. Today I want to talk to you about another tool from the brain of Chris Tanner from Preparedmind 101. This is the Schrade SCHF 64. It is weird looking, I'll give that to you, but it is designed for mainly one thing and one thing only. It does a lot more than just one thing, but the purpose behind it is to kind of bridge the gap between the non-batoning crowd and the batoning crowd. This is a tool that is designed to willy-nilly just beat it like a redheaded stepchild, and if you're a redheaded stepchild, no offense to you, it's a saying, don't get offended. This tool is designed to be beat on. It does a lot of different stuff, which you will see little snippets here throughout this video here in the next 3 or 4 minutes. But this tool is designed to baton. Folks that are familiar with my channel know that I'm not a big batoner, but it's not for the reasons they probably assume. You know, if I'm making a hearthboard for a bow drill or a hand drill or something like that, then yeah, I'll baton it so I can get exactly the size and shape that I want to get. I will take, you know, relatively small kindling and turn it into even smaller kindling by batoning. But I'm not anti-batoning. I don't baton a lot in my personal life. I don't baton a lot if I'm just out in the woods and not on video, simply because I prefer an axe. I find an axe, for me personally, to be a lot easier until you get down to that super fine kindling that you want, and then it's easier to break out the knife and baton. I'm not anti-batoning. I don't think it's irresponsible to baton with your knife. Modern day steels, modern day knife making techniques and technologies, they are at such a point that I don't think batoning within reason is inherently bad for your knife. Granted, anything man-made, such as a plane, can have a mechanical failure of some kind and fail on you. But just because a plane falls out of the sky because the engine goes defunct in midair doesn't mean people stop flying. You know, accidents happen, mistakes happen in the factory, knives will fail, but more than likely, in my opinion, that knife will fail regardless of whether you baton it or not. So that all being said, that's my opinion on batoning for those that care. Let's get on to about this knife. Specs on this knife are really simple. 9-inch blade, about a 5 or 6 inch handle. It's designed, like I said, for mainly one thing, and that's to baton. Now, I have found out several other things about it. Because the handle is so thin, it's good and bad. The good part about the handle being so thin is that it is very tip heavy, which means it is a great chopper. Just snap your wrist and it's really going to bite into the wood. The downside to that is, if you're really pounding on it via batoning, it transfers a ton of vibration straight to your hand, and it does, I mean, it's uncomfortable. Batoning your knife reasonably is the name of the game. Knowing how to use your tools, knowing when to give up and use a piece of wood to finish out the split in whatever you're batoning is a wise way to use your tools. Again, I don't think batoning is inherently abuse, but you can definitely abuse your knife by batoning if you take it too far. Another thing this thing really has going for it, if you can, let me get this perfectly in frame here. If you were to see just that part of the knife, you would think that was a Jess-X, wouldn't you? Grind angle, secondary, blade width, blade steel is 1070 steel. It is all identical to the Jess-X, at least that's my understanding. And it definitely performs like it. It is razor sharp, it feathers great, it does that finer work amazingly enough. It does finer work. I mean, it's not like, you know, a Mora or something like that, but it does do finer work pretty good for a knife of this size and a knife of this grind angle. It will literally just tear sparks off of a fire rod. It does great with a fire steel, throws a ton of sparks. Another thing folks may be wondering about, why is it just flat, like a flat tip screwdriver up here? Well, and I can't say for 100% certainty, but number one, I think it keeps the cost down. This is very affordable at around $25, but also, you know, for what this is designed for, you don't need it. But I do like that drastic point right there. It allows you just to snap it down into whatever wood you're working with, just to kind of store it out of the way. As to the sheath, it is just your standard Schrade nylon sheath. It does the job well. It's nothing fancy. I don't really foresee anybody carrying this on their belt. You might want to. It does have a little leg lanyard so you can tie it to your thigh so it's not bouncing around and stuff like that. But in my opinion, more so, this is a tool that you put in your pack, keep near the fire, something like that. It's not something you're going to wear around. Another thing about this tool, it is a great chopper. I know I've already mentioned that, but it really is. It is a great chopper. It is like a hand axe. Just because of the balance and the weight of this thing, it works very much like a hand axe, but you have a lot more edge to work with, so accuracy isn't quite as important. Well, I mean, as far as Not cutting yourself is very important, but as far as getting your axe head precisely where you need it on the wood you're cutting, you have a lot more forgiveness with an edge of this length. So just to recap for a quick second, it will baton, it will chop, it will feather, it will tear sparks off of a fire steel. In my opinion, this is a great replacement or a great alternative to a hand axe. It is something that you keep near a fire to process wood to keep a fire going for a long time. It's not something you're going to cook dinner with. It's not something you're going to go out into the woods and do bushcraft a chair with or something like that. Although you could do it. I have no doubt you could do it. This is something to keep near a fire to process wood. So with that in mind, do I recommend this? For $25, if this is something you're interested in, sure, it will definitely do the job. And $25 for a tool like this, in my opinion, is very affordable. So a lot of positives. I did mention that one negative about the handle. If I was to suggest anything to Schrade, I would suggest to beef up the, I'm guessing this is TPE or something like that on the handle here, just to beef that up just a little bit to take some of that vibration or absorb some of the vibration as you're pounding it with your baton stick. But beyond that, you know, this does exactly what it's described to do. It actually goes a bit beyond that. You can even use it as a decent substitute for a draw knife. So again, for 25 bucks, I do think it is a pretty good deal. And I'm going to coin a new phrase, designed by Chris Tanner and Joe Mobley approved. Thanks for being here, guys. If you enjoyed the video, mash that thumbs up button for me. I would appreciate it. Also, if you enjoyed the video and you're not a subscriber yet, I invite you to make use of the subscribe button right down here. And as always, folks, hit that comment section up. Let's talk about this. Anything else you'd like to talk about? Again, thanks for being here, and I will see you next time. Hope you guys have a great day. You know, I used to think that rain was the bane of every YouTuber filmer's existence. It's not. It's freaking wind, man. It's driving me crazy. Enter the wind.